I thought I'd talk through today a little bit about hip flexors. We spend a lot of our time, as I'm doing now, sitting down on the sofa in front of the television, at work, at the office, sat on the train, commuting, driving in our cars. A lot of those movements involve having our hips bent. So this angle between your thigh bone and your pelvis is flexed. Good running involves doing absolutely the opposite. So having really good extension backwards out of the hip with your glute muscles driving that leg backwards to get really good power on the run. So I'm going to just talk through a couple of different ways of stretching out those hip flexors. First nice one to do is to start off in a little bit of a lunge position. This back knee is on the floor, so you don't have to kind of hold that into a hover of a lunge. And before we start, we want to think about the position of our pelvis. So you can tuck your pelvis and tilt it in two different directions, front to back. You can arch your low backs, kind of stick your bum out a little bit. So if your pelvis was a bucket of water, you'd be tipping it so the water was coming out the front. Or you can go the other way. You can tuck your tailbone under, engage those lower abdominal muscles, and so that if the pelvis is back to that bucket of water analogy, you'd be tipping the water out the back of the bucket. So that's the position we want to be in. Engaged lower abs, tucking that tailbone under, and then just slightly shifting those hips forward until you feel a stretch across the front of that hip on the side of the leg that's out the back. We're holding that for about 10 or 15 seconds. You can also do a slightly amended version of this one if you don't want to be kneeling down, maybe if you just want to be doing it around the office if you're sat down quite a lot of the day, and that's up in the air slightly. So just a shorter step forward, tucking that tailbone under, and then shifting the hips forward so you can do a slightly more subtle standing version. Another great one to do, as well as the classic quad stretch, again tucking that tailbone under to try and get that stretch right over the hips, is to do knee circles. So really nice big circles with each of the hips, thinking about having like a pencil sticking right out the end of your thigh bone at your knee, and you're doing the biggest possible circles with that pencil just to open up those hip joints. So hopefully those three things will help ease off that tightness at the front of your hip. Maybe in the next video or two we'll start talking about things that you can then do to increase the power in your glute muscles, which works really nice in partnership with those stretches to get more power in your running. Lovely to talk to you all. Any questions, just let me know.